Welcome to Destination Wedding Planning Made Easy, where your team at Destination Weddings Expert talks about all things weddings. Join us as we talk about tips, tricks, and those all too easy pitfalls to avoid when planning your big day. Okay, hello and welcome back to Destination Wedding Planning Made Easy. I'm your host, Mario Lopez, and you're joined here by the team from Destination Weddings Expert. Please say hello to Prissy Powell, Jody Com, and Nikki Sanders. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. All right. So we have kind of a fun topic today that we're going to go through, and it all has to do with choosing your proper venue. And we're talking mostly about on-site venues, where to choose, what are some of the pros and cons, what's kind of involved in that decision, right? So let's kick it off here. I think one of the biggest topics of conversation in venues lately is beach venues. And that's kind of who's choosing them, who isn't, why we're choosing them, things like that. It's been a conversation like when I go to our conferences that we go to, right? And we're in and we're visiting with different vendors. I feel like this comes up at almost every conversation right now is, are couples doing beach venues and why? So I guess, Christy, talk to me a little bit about maybe some of the pros and cons about choosing a beach venue and what that looks like.
I think when you think destination wedding, you automatically go to the beach. Like you're thinking of the sand, the sunsets, just being out there with the breeze, as you say, I do. But I think as this generation, everybody doesn't want the beach. So we do have some pros and some cons when we start to think about if we're going to get married on the beach.
Yep, absolutely. So I think one of the first things that people don't necessarily think about when they're looking at a beach venue is some of the additional costs that come into it, right?
Hmm.
It's so when you're looking at a beach venue, if you have, let's say you have the dream that you want that, golden hour sunset beach ceremony, and you also want to wear high heels, right? Automatically you've got a platform that you need to put out onto the
Hmm.
sand, and depending on how far out that beach venue is that the hotel, how far out they put it out there, that platform can get very pricey,
And
right?
an
Hmm.
aisle. And
And
the
an aisle.
aisle.
Yep.
Yep.
And then if the
Because you have to
seats,
get to the platform.
yeah.
Yep. And so Nikki, on that note, tell us a little bit about getting the guests out there.
If any of your guests would struggle with getting all the way onto the beach, um, got to take that in consideration too. Um, you know, the beach is very distracting for young children.
Hmm.
It's very distracting for young children, and we cannot count on all of them to behave as you would wish. And sometimes, sand gets places. I've seen it with my own eyes. So another thing to take in consideration, it's, we can do it, we can get it done, but you might need wrangling.
Yep.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Now, some of the venues do help you prepare for it. So some of the venues are going to set up like a shoe station, where we can set the shoes off to the side. Guests can go onto the beach, have a barefoot ceremony, and then come back, wash off their feet, and continue on to the
Not
cocktail.
everybody wants to take their shoes off, though.
Hmm.
And you don't want everyone to take their shoes off. Well, please leave your shoes on. That's
Some shoes are hard to get off. Like depending on the shoe, it's like once it's on, it's on.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's a factor too.
Listen, I have been skinnier at different times in my life, and right now, I do not like bending down to try and tie a shoe. Tie a shoe. It's just not
And
my.
if you're in your dressiness, so
Right. Hmm.
Yeah.
It's just
but
it
if
can be
but if your
much.
crowd is all like boho and we're just wearing flip-flops anyway to your wedding, if that is your
Hmm.
wedding, this is perfect for you. This is
Yeah.
perfect for you. If you want your kids to just not be paying attention and just rolling in the sand having fun, perfect for you. So
Yep.
just so you know, like just so you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, that's part of that is booking with someone who understands what the beach is like, because not all beaches are created equally. It's
No.
if you want a beach wedding, I am not sending you to Ava. I love Ava. It's a great property.
No.
Horrible beach.
It's this big.
It's yeah.
They're not all created equally in the same mile
No,
Yeah.
of
Right.
coastline.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You have to be
And
very what?
depending on the season, it's one way in May, it's totally different come August, September. So all of those need to be factored into those beach decisions.
And then you toss in the wild card of sargassum and seaweed, and then you don't like you don't know. Sometimes it'll be there, and sometimes it won't.
Hmm.
But there are some places like East Harris, Impressions East Harris, where you never have to worry about the sargassum because you it does not go to that part of the island. So it's just knowing the area, knowing where you're gonna need to expect that, knowing where you can avoid it, um, and finding someone who's going to tell you the truth that you may or may not have sargassum, and I can't guarantee it. But it's you want to make sure you know where you're going to be, kind of in that realm of things. But I guess like Nikki said, not all beaches are created equally here, right? That's so Atelier already has a platform. It's already there, right?
Beach.
It's so that's one thing that's a one up. It's a one other thing that you're not going to need to spend your money on because they make it so that you can have the beach wedding and have it comfortably.
Hmm.
One that we don't usually sell for weddings, but one that I think is a really good mention here is Chablé. So Chablé Maroma is not a all-inclusive resort; it's an EP resort, which is why it's not quite as popular among the weddings that we usually do because most of our weddings are in the all-inclusive realm. But when you're talking a natural beach with that fine white sand, it is one of the last untouched beaches that are out there. And I think it's probably one of the most stunning beaches I think I've ever seen in my life. It's gorgeous. So that one's definitely worth mentioning. Um, Hard Rock Riviera Maya. That's on the other side of things. I wouldn't if you're looking at a beach wedding, wouldn't necessarily go to Hard Rock Riviera Maya, just because they've got that. What do they call that man-made inlet there? There's
That
The
partition.
little bay, is it little
Yeah.
bays
The
or
little
yeah,
something?
cone thing.
yeah. So
They
it's
don't have a natural swimmable beach. They have a created one with
Hmm.
rock barriers, which is okay.
Hmm.
Maybe you want that
Yeah.
though, because
It photographs nice for some couples. It works for some couples.
and they have all those gazebos already ready to go all the way along the beach.
Mhm. Absolutely. So, okay, so that's, I think beaches, there's definitely still a lot of weddings that are happening on the beach, still a lot
Hmm.
of weddings. There's some properties that do it better than others, and it always just takes kind of that conversation to figure out exactly what you're looking for.
Hmm.
If we're going to do a beach, we want to be very specific about it. Let's talk for a second about rooftops, because now we're talking the complete opposite, right? We're going from on the ground, that's challenges when it comes to getting onto the beach and things like that, to the rooftop overlooking everything and what some of that looks like, right? It's I think obviously just one of the biggest pros that you can have with the rooftops is going to be the view, right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
That's why you do a rooftop. They're so stunning. The one that
Hmm.
always pops into my head is Secrets Moshe.
Hmm.
I just think they have a gorgeous rooftop up there, and it's overlooking that beautiful water. And you have Secrets Moshe, and then you have the Impression side as well. It's such a gorgeous view overlooking everything. I think probably one of the pros to doing a rooftop is you typically have a little bit more control over your privacy.
Yes.
Mhm.
Um, that's in when you're doing a rooftop, it's usually a section of the rooftop that's kind of off to the side, blocked off a little bit, or easier to set up. Cousins at the entrance, be like, come down here right now, right? But it's a little bit easier for privacy. Whereas one thing that we didn't talk about when we were talking beaches, not all beaches are private. It's
Yes.
so I had my wedding at El Dorado. In El Dorado, beautiful resort. It was an amazing wedding, but my cousins were laying blocks on the side trying to keep people
Keeping
trying
the
to keep
people
people out of
out.
the shot. Yeah, it's my cousins. They are the sweetest. They're twins. The sweetest
Uh,
twins you'll ever meet. But
Perfect.
those girls, they don't mess around. Like
we don't play.
that's Nikki, can you talk to me a little bit about maybe some of the cons to a rooftop?
Rooftop, you're exposed. You're exposed to the weather, not necessarily the people, but you're exposed to the weather. And if it is too breezy, too windy, too gusty, too not, like there's no fans, there's no nothing. But you've spent some money on your flowers, you've spent money on your decor, and now the wind turned up. to cheer you on, but it takes a
It's
toll on
blowing away.
it's blowing everything. It's blowing everything. Candles, you better have gotten those cylinders
Yep.
with the LED candle in there. That's exactly
Hmm.
what you want on rooftops. You do not want any little pretend or real flames going.
Quick, real candle. No. Mm-mm.
They won't last. They won't last. And also rooftop, a good if you choose it, right? And you want everyone's hair a certain way. It may be a half up, half down do. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Right.
We're not telling you not to do a rooftop. They're gorgeous. But things that could pop up along the way, maybe keep them in your
Mm.
mind.
Yeah, I think, just being exposed to the elements, I think everything's amplified on a rooftop. It's the heat, the wind, even if it's just a slight drizzle, that's coming at you on the rooftop, right? So it's one thing to take into consideration. I love a rooftop because of the view and because of kind of those stunning pictures that you can get. But there are things that you have to think about. We also had a wedding. It was at the Fives last year. And that's, one important thing to think about with the rooftop is, again, focusing on accessibility of your guests. If you have a guest who needs a handicap accessible venue, a rooftop could be a good solution. It also is something that you need to make sure you think about plan B. We had this wedding at the Fives. Unfortunately, the elevator had broken down earlier in the day. They were getting someone out to work on the elevator, but it wasn't fixed yet, and the groom's mother was not able to go up the stairs.
Oh.
So unfortunately, the groom's mother could not attend the ceremony for her son
Mm.
at the destination wedding.
There are a couple other rooftop or upper locations that do not have
Elevator.
even working perfectly at all. So if you have any guests that are coming, if you know that your grandma and grandpa are coming and they are wheelchair bound, this will affect your locations.
Yep.
Hmm.
Or any of your friends, your best man, your maid of honor, your sister, any of them.
Yeah.
This will affect your choice of locations, and it's something to tell your expert right away.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. And I think, that's when we're talking budget wise, there's some properties that'll charge for rooftops, some that won't. So it kind of depends on where you're at, and you just need to know if they're going to charge for that or not. But also you need to think about decor.
Hmm.
Most rooftops are totally blank.
Blank.
There's
Yeah,
nothing up there.
nothing at all, right?
No.
So you are going to need to spend a little bit of money to dress this up. You might need some flowers. You might need, just a little bit extra on the arch, something to make it look like a venue instead of just a rooftop that you're throwing your ceremony
Hmm.
on, right? There could be some extra costs that come into making sure that that space is up to par for your photos. I think one of my favorites, and it kind of depends on where you're at, but kind of the garden, terrace, gazebo realm of things that's I think are really nice venues because it gives you a good starting point.
Hmm.
It's Chrissy, talk to me a little bit about a garden, a terrace. What are your favorites about those spaces?
I like the lushness of the space. So, you're not just directly in the sun. You have the shade from some of the trees and the foliage. It's just, I don't know, it makes me feel like I'm Alice in Wonderland, right? Like you're just walking through this beautiful garden, you look the part, everybody's, lined up. It's one of my preferred locations.
They're good for the receptions too, because a
Yes.
lot of the resorts, that have these locations, sometimes there's foliage and shrubbery built up around. And yes, the shade.
Yep.
Hmm. The shade, the breeze, all of the things.
With
I think
that too, though, need to consider capacity
Yeah.
on the rooftop or in the gardens. That could be
Yeah.
restrictive.
that's a
Yes.
really good point, Jody, because some of those spaces are meant for a little bit of a smaller group, right? That's so if you're planning on having a 100-person wedding, that's a garden or a terrace might not work. You need to verify
Mhm.
what that capacity is before you
And
confirm
check
it.
the resorts, because like Casa de Campo has added more little garden areas that are fully grown. Oh, and if you want cats at your
Yeah.
location, I do know where. So,
He's available.
the cats are there are cats working at some of the resorts.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. They have jobs. They work there, no lie.
I think it's gardens and terraces have on both the pro and the con side,
Mhm.
there's going to be two things. It's first of all, it's going to be private. Some of them are going to be very private, like Nikki said. Some of them have a really nice private area. Atelier, their garden
It's
area
gorgeous.
it's all enclosed in. That you really
And
don't.
and they have that heart shaped thing there that you can take the
Mm,
picture with. It's on the
yes,
wall over there.
Yep, yeah.
But you need lighting. Now you need lighting.
yes.
Lighting matter. Yeah, that's some of them can be private and some of them aren't. There are some properties where the garden area, the garden venue, is just a big piece of grass that's in the middle of the resort, and everyone around you is going to see. I think
Hard Rock Punta Cana.
Hard Rock Punta Cana is
Yeah.
it's really any of the AIC properties, the Hard Rocks, Ava, and Unico. It's
Hmm.
it's they just don't have some of the privatization on some of those venues. Unico, I think their terrace that's out there is absolutely gorgeous and it's stunning, and everyone notices it because Unico is a horseshoe, but
Hmm.
also there's no privacy on it. Now, the one nice thing that Unico does about that, though, is at night when you're typically throwing a reception, that's on that terrace, the majority of the guests are up towards the top of the horseshoe in the resort because all the restaurants are up there, all the bars are up there. So your group is typically down on their own in that section, but it's something to consider because it is not totally private and the privatization can't be guaranteed there. Some of them do have privatization that you have. The other thing then is going to be lighting.
Hmm.
Like Nikki said, it's the garden at Atelier. Beautiful, beautiful venue. But if you're going to do it there, you absolutely need lighting, and you're going to need a good amount of lighting because it's a dark
Hmm.
space that's over there. Live Aqua. Live Aqua has. I'm not gonna be able to remember the name of the venue right now. It's behind the pool club. But there's a venue back there that's absolutely gorgeous. A little garden area. You're going to need lighting in order to have that reception there at night. Very nice, but as much as that's I always talk about this with our couples when we're talking budget. Lighting is one of the things that you would never guess how much lighting is going to it drives up a budget so much. And
Quick,
yeah,
very quick.
Because everybody's here buying the little twinkle lights for $8.99 a pack, you know?
Right.
yeah,
No.
and it's I understand that lighting, if you go buy it at the store, it doesn't cost that much, but there's a lot of labor that goes into getting them hung. There's
Hmm.
a lot into making sure that there's the little light bulbs aren't burnt out and things like that. So the cost is a lot more than what you would think. So it's just something that you need to consider as you're looking at some of your venues and making sure that they're good to go. It's on that same note, just kind of before we move off the gardens and gazebos, that's one of the best things about the AIC properties is that there are so many options for garden
Hmm.
versus gazebos, right? There's a lot that you can take a look at and kind of confirm which one that you want. AIC has that venue deposit that you can pay, so you can make sure that you guarantee a certain one if you wanted it. But I
They're
think
going to have one for every capacity too.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's just going to, your options. Oh, I have more people than expected. AIC got you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You
And
have a
also, if you're having multiple events, like you don't have to worry about having your event in the same place every
Yeah.
day because they have a ton of locations.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. If you're doing a South Asian wedding and you have, 300 to 500 people at your wedding,
Hmm.
Hard Rock Riviera Maya. We've done it a
Hmm.
couple times there. They've got more than enough space to set up to host any amount of guests. I think the capacity out on that terrace is like 1,000 people out there.
Oh,
They have one. Yeah.
Yeah, the big
But
one. Yeah,
with those weddings, there's more than even three events, you
yeah,
know,
hmm,
so you have to move people around during these different times of day. So if you're planning on doing a lot,
right.
mhm.
pick a property that can do a lot for you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's talk ballrooms now. Jody, what do you think? Just one of the biggest advantages to doing a ballroom is.
Temperature control. I need my air conditioning. I love the beach, but if I'm paying to have my hair done, my makeup done, my gown, my shoes, I would like some AC.
Yep, absolutely. It's those ballrooms. I think one of the best things about them is they can be temperature controlled. I will, with a caveat, AC in Mexico and DR is not quite AC here in the States,
Right.
right?
You're not going to
So
get 67.
it's yeah,
No.
and if you have
You're
guests
not
who
going
are
to get
hanging out with the
67.
yeah, if you have guests hanging out with the door open, it's going to heat up the space and things like that. But you don't have the worry of what the weather's going to be like. If
Hmm.
Right.
it's raining, if it's that's you don't have any of that. So there's definitely a little bit more of a control factor that you have with the ballroom. Now, at that same note, there are a couple cons that come along with the ballroom. So, Prissy, talk us through kind of maybe some of the cons that are involved in choosing a ballroom venue.
A lot of them are ugly. So let's just get right into it.
Yep.
A lot of them are not pleasing to the eye, so it's going to cost a lot of money to make them, you know, wet and appropriate.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of those ballrooms are made for corporate events, right?
Hmm.
Hmm.
So that's when you get in there, you now not only have to be concerned about decorating your tables and the chairs and your centerpieces and what all of that is going to look like, but now you have to decorate the walls and the ceiling. You need lighting, you need drapes.
And
You
it
Yeah,
needs
you
to
still need
coordinate with the
lighting.
purple and red carpet. Like you have this purple and red carpet. Like, what are we doing?
you have purple and red carpet. Depending on the resort and depending on how well they maintain it, that carpet may or may not be sticky. It
Hmm.
may or may not have stains.
Maybe older than you.
Maybe older than you. There's definitely,
Yes.
it's you just need to make sure that or your planner knows what that ballroom is actually like. I think one of my favorite ballrooms that we've done, actually we've done it a couple times already, is going to be Majestic Elegance and their
Of
ballroom.
course.
Yeah, they do it well. It's
It's gorgeous.
yeah, the AC is actually pretty good in there.
Hmm.
I think the only complaint that we got on one of our groups when it comes to the AC is the ballroom itself is very well air conditioned.
But it opens to a
It
terrace.
opens to the
Hmm.
terrace, and there's no wind in that terrace. The terrace is actually very hot over there.
Okay.
But that one was created for weddings.
Yeah, it was.
So it was created for that. Um, Perfect. This is it's fantastic. So if
Yep.
you know you want that, let's get that book right
Put that
Yeah.
on the list.
now.
They're
Because a lot of them were created for Goodyear tires to show up.
They don't care.
I would say, I mean, if you have a ballroom in mind for your wedding, automatically bump up your budget by, I mean, to be fair, like $5,000 to $10,000.
Hmm.
Bump your budget up a little bit because it's going to take more to make that look like a proper venue.
Yep.
I think if you know you want a ballroom reception,
Hmm.
and this might work even better if you're going in the summer months where sometimes things are a little less expensive. But you know you can have a non-sweaty wedding, reception when the kids are off school.
Well, and things are a little more wet in the summer months. And so you
Yeah.
just don't know if it's going to be raining or not, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, so you already know you want a ballroom. You can maybe take a gamble on the cheaper season.
Yep, absolutely. It's a nice way to save a little bit of money on that.
Offset.
Yeah. Mhm.
Hmm.
Now, I think there are a lot of really beautiful ballrooms out there that I think we should probably touch on. Now, we've already talked about Majestic Elegance.
Yeah.
Chrissy, tell me about your favorite.
I love Escaret Arte. I love their ballroom. It has like that traditional Mexican feel, but it's modern. I feel like it works for whatever the vision is. So the carpet is in purple and red. But
uh,
it's a good base.
I think I've got kind of a hot take on one.
Hmm.
Is a hotel that we don't necessarily think of firsthand for destination weddings, but Hyatt Vivid Grand Island. First of all, I
Okay.
just personally love that property just for vacation. I think it's so much fun
It's
for
very
me.
cute.
I don't know that it's necessarily made for weddings, but their ballroom there is stunning. So their ballroom there sits in between the Hyatt Vivid and the Dreams that's being built. But there is that ballroom that's all glass, really beautiful
Mm.
ballroom.
Nice.
The top opens up a little bit so that you can get
Oh,
some air out of there. Some of the heat gets out of there. It is air conditioned, of course. It's a new ballroom, so you know you're not necessarily looking at maybe some of that carpeting that we talked about. Um, and it's just centrally located in the resort, so all your guests can easily find it. I think that ballroom is probably a little hidden gem that's down there for anyone that might be looking for a wedding
okay.
at High Vivid. Hard Rock Los Cabos. That's their ballroom is just beautiful. I really all the venues at that property.
They do have some good venues.
Their venues are so stunning. That they really thought about weddings when they were building that property. So,
Mhm.
but their ballroom is very nice there. Atelier has a very nice ballroom, right?
Their conference center is located right off centrally in the resort, and it's got that big terrarium
Yep.
in there. So that
It's
makes that a good venue.
another property, Atelier, another property with just some stunning venues that you know from top to bottom. I love their venues over there. Anyways, yeah, so ballrooms definitely some pros and cons that come with it. That you get a little bit more control over things, can tend to cost you a little bit more depending on what you're looking at. But as long as you know that going in, and like Nikki said, go in the cheaper season, but get the ballroom, and now you've got, you know, now you've got a nice little balance to your wedding there that I think would be
Make it happen.
yeah, ways to make something like that happen. Yeah. Let's talk about restaurants. So
Mm.
this is something that a lot of couples don't always think about because it's not always advertised, not always included.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But there's some properties that really do a good job of setting up their restaurants for to be privatized if you wanted to privatize it for especially mostly a reception, right? This isn't necessarily
Hmm.
a ceremony thing, but for the for the reception, there's a lot of good options. And the reason that these are more popular is because it comes with existing furniture, it comes with existing fixtures. There's decor in the restaurant that makes it look beautiful. There's
Lighting,
there's lighting, yes.
Lighting.
Air condition, like
Air
you have
conditioning.
all the things.
Yep.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's you know it's again pros and cons and things. You have all these things that are included in it, and there's not a whole lot of extra that you need to do. Almost always there's going to be a privatization fee, right? So there's almost always you're going to have to pay for to get that venue. But if you can save on all the extras, then it
Mhm.
might make sense for you to do that. Usually the cocktail can be done right along with the reception at the restaurant. So it's really nice just layout wise to make sure everything is going to work. But again, now we're looking at capacity issues. So when we're looking at, you know, how many people that we can fit in there, you are very limited because it's an indoor enclosed
Mhm.
space. You're very limited to what that capacity is, how many people that you can fit in there. Just legally fire standard wise how
Yeah.
many people that they can have in there, right? So you have they're very strict with their capacities on there, but there are
Plus,
some
that increases your availability of different kinds of foods too.
true. And
Yeah.
that brings up a really good point, Jody. So it's the nice thing about doing the restaurants because you have the hot kitchen right there. You can have a nice sit down dinner. You don't need to worry about, you know, food being transported halfway across the property, things like that. Usually, if a venue is too far out from a hot kitchen, now we're looking at, you know, just doing a buffet. You only have the buffet option.
Yep.
We can't, you know, we can't do anything else because we can't get food out there and have it still be edible by the time it gets out.
Hmm.
It's a good option too if you know, like, I'm having this many guests. I'm having only 60, 75 guests. I'm going to keep myself on budget here, you
Hmm.
know, planning this way. If you know, we're not just inviting every single person we knew from college. Um,
Right?
and you can do this, and it's a great option for some of the resorts that do offer this, and it can keep you on track.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Nikki, talk to us a little bit about some of the more standout properties that have restaurants.
I would say there's two that always come to mind. Casa de Campo, they use Lago there, which has the restaurant opens on one side and you have a view of the golf course, which is beautiful, which actually you can see the ocean as well from there. So great venue. It's comfortably, comfortably decor already, no problem.
Yep.
And then at Atelier, they will use Suspiro, which is almost on the beach. It's it opens up. It also has a little patio out front. Those might be my favorites, but they do have, they're going to have a capacity. These aren't for your larger weddings.
Right.
They're for your nice size, close weddings, and
Intimate.
they're very popular.
I think Lopasan Costa Bavaro needs to be one that's added to that list as well. I think Lopasan Goldfish is, I would say probably 80% of our weddings that we do there goes with Goldfish for the reception, and it makes things easy, and it's a beautiful venue, and they keep it really well maintained. So I think that's one that really is a standout as well. Let's talk beach clubs. Beach clubs are an interesting one. Now, when I say beach clubs, we're talking about two different things here. When I say beach clubs in this context, I'm talking about on-site beach clubs, right? So, there's beach clubs that are outside, off-site venues. We'll talk about that later. But for on-site beach clubs, I think these are something that we're seeing a little bit more in some properties as these are newer properties. The two that are in my head are newer properties that we're looking at with beach clubs, right? And so there's a couple advantages that you can look at with them. First of all, the beach club typically is going to give you one of the best venues for privacy. It's in its own little area. When you rent out the beach club, it is yours. That's your space for your group. And so I think that is one of the biggest advantages to the beach club. They're also typically really done well with decor. There's there's a lot of lighting that's in there already. Things that are there already that you don't need to necessarily.
They're already swanky.
They're already exactly. Now, with that swankiness, they typically almost always will come with a fee. So there's usually a venue fee to do the beach club, but it is because it gives you more of that elevated feel. So
I would rather pay for a beach club than a ballroom. Because I feel like you're going to get so much more. The vibe is already set. You have a little bit of air in certain spaces. So I would most definitely pay for the beach club over the ballroom.
Prissy, I kind of agree with you on that. It's because the beach club, it's going to give you, the kind of half decorated, at least jump start on your decor.
Yep.
But it has at least all the ones that I'm thinking of right now, I have more of a swanky vibe to them. It gives you kind of an ambiance that other venues aren't going to give you. You have to create it with other venues. Whereas the
You
beach
get the
club,
indoor outdoor too.
Yep.
indoor outdoor, yeah, there's usually some cover if it rains. It's absolutely.
Manitas Beach Club.
Casa de Campo.
Yes. And that
Best
was
story ever. I was there. I had on heels. So it's a deck. So skinny heels will fall through. The guy came and gave me some heel clips for my shoes. I was blown away. It was just saved my outfit. It was perfect though. Perfect.
but
They think of everything.
that's a level of service that you can
Yes.
expect, right?
Yeah.
That's the level of service there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Save my heels.
I'm surprised that I don't know why I didn't have that one on the list right away. It's such a gorgeous one.
It's so pretty.
It is. We've been there. We've seen baby showers in there.
It's that infinity pool there, and then overlooking the water. You're right over the beach. That is a very beautiful venue.
Or you could just rent that out for your bachelorette party.
Yeah.
We'll send you there. It'll be good. Send the boys golfing.
Right.
Girls at the beach club. We got you.
Absolutely.
Good day.
Now, for our couples who are looking for a little bit more of a religious ceremony, there are some properties that are going to do this better than others. Some properties that are really going to have some features on their chapels, right? But you can get a chapel if you wanted something that was a little bit more religious, or specifically if you're Catholic, you can get now I'm not going to remember the name of the word, that's when the chapel is on something.
The holy ground or something?
Yeah,
There's a few resorts that have chapels that do have services.
Yeah.
Okay.
Atelier, they have Sunday Mass.
Yep.
So, and you can use that wedding chapel in there. It's very cute. Of course, now here we are going with capacity again. So if you are having a religious ceremony, um, your guest count may
Yep,
matter.
consecrated. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word.
Consecrated, yeah.
Yeah, it's there are some that actually have it if that's something that you're looking for. But yes, Nikki, it's Atelier. They have a beautiful one. I think one of the most beautiful chapels that are out there is Ishkaret.
Mm-hmm.
So Ishkaret, for those of you that don't know, they have it. It's kind of like a whole stairway system that goes all the way up, but your guests don't need to take the stairs. They have a transfer that will take them up. It's this big, huge hill that they created with a consecrated chapel on top that overlooks everything. I mean, that's the views from there are just absolutely phenomenal.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they're so beautiful. Hard Rock Los Cabos. Hard Rock Los Cabos has their chapel there. That is so there's the chapel, there's like a little garden terrace out in front of it, and then the ocean directly out in front of it.
Mhm.
So really beautiful photos, and for those couples that want that religious aspect to their wedding, we can get it. It's out there and it's available. Those venues again typically will have a venue fee that's going to go along with that.
We forgot Casa de Campo. They have a chapel as well. Oh,
That's a working Catholic
gorgeous.
church. They have
Yes.
mass all the time, but they will not let us have the weddings inside of it, only in
Yeah.
front of it.
In front of it.
I'll take in front.
It's gorgeous,
It's gorgeous
gorgeous.
though.
Yeah, no, there you can't get a bad photo.
Yeah.
Even if it was me falling down, it would still look good.
Falling into the donkey. You're falling into the donkey.
Oh, the donkey. And that's also where, if you need a cat at your wedding.
We'll be in that area. Yes. Yeah. No, that chapel there is so beautiful.
Mm.
Saint
So beautiful.
Stanislaus.
It has that kind of what'd you say, Nikki?
The name of it, it's Saint Stanislaus.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's it it's in Alto Station, and up there it's all like an old European style town. That is what it looks like up there, and that church that's there is just beautiful, overlooking.
Hmm.
This is where you want to go if you wanted to get married in like Italy or in somewhere, like old
Hmm.
world type, and not everybody's going to fly there.
Right.
Mhm.
We got you.
Yep, yep. You go to
We
DR
got you.
instead. That's
We got it, but there's a place
It's
that we
absolutely
all
true,
know.
Nikki. It's absolutely true. That's really what that's for. Is it's you don't want to transport 100 people over to Italy, over to Greece, over
Hmm.
to France. That's you can get that same feel in DR much closer than going across the Atlantic. And then I think the last thing that I want to talk about venue wise is going to be offsite venues.
Hmm.
So now there's so many resorts and so many different options that you can do on site, but there's a lot of really strong off-site venues that you can consider when you're looking at it. And I think there's a lot of advantages that
Hmm.
that come with going with an off-site venue. It's so first of all, off-site venue, in my experience, typically the cost is going to be a little bit less. The offsite venues, they tend not to. First of all, they have a lot of the built-in decor. It's already there,
Hmm.
right?
Mhm.
So you just need to add accents and things like that. They have a lot of control over the vendors that they work with, and they'll let you bring in a lot of vendors where you're not paying an offsite vendor fee
Mhm.
sometimes. Some of them will only work with certain vendors, and you just have no choice. That's so you can typically kind of get some additional flexibility with an offsite venue. Um, Obviously, some of the challenges are going to be transporting your guests to the venue, right?
You're
Hmm.
getting a shuttle.
Getting a shuttle. Um, but the nice thing about that is that most of these venues have that service already built in, or they'll let you know what that cost is going to be right up front, right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
One of the ones that we work with time and time again is Kukua down in Dominican Republic. Kukua is a phenomenal offsite venue. We've had more than a few weddings there. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is that when you do an offsite venue, we can still help you with the room block and still make sure that your group is set up. They still need to be at a hotel, And
Hmm.
you're going to want them to be at a hotel together so that they're not, it's at this property and that property and that property. And there's so much more to it. You do a destination wedding because you not only want the wedding day with your friends and family, but you want kind of like a wedding weekend with them,
Mhm.
right? And if they're not at one property, if they're all over, now you're still talking, that's day pass fees,
And you
and
want the welcome party.
you want the
Yeah.
welcome party, there's separate fees for them to attend the welcome party and things like that. So you would still encourage your guests to all stay at one hotel, but then do some of these offsite venues as well. La Jolla, we just had one.
Yeah,
It's this past
that's a beautiful venue.
Hmm.
beautiful venue.
That one's Mexico.
Mexico, yep. So there's some of these different offsite properties that I think really give you a whole different dynamic to it. Prissy, do you have
I
anything
think
to
there's a
add?
lot more personalization.
Hmm.
There's a lot more
Privatization too.
personalization. Um, and that's all they do is
Hmm.
do your wedding reception. That's all they're there for it. They're doing it. They know you want to be gorgeous, glamorous, everything.
Hmm.
And sometimes
Pampered.
you can have your reception go later.
Mm,
Some
Mhm.
resorts cut it off at a certain time.
yeah, that's also a really good point, Nikki. It's that if you want that late night reception, a
Or
lot,
live music,
yeah,
things like that.
a lot of the offsites are going to allow a little bit more flexibility with that. So, I mean, we could go on and on about venues and kind of what all these look like and all the different choices that are involved in them and some of the properties that kind of do some of the venues better than others. But I think the story that we wanted to tell with this is just how much of the venue choice goes into your resort choice. It's
Mhm.
really going to help shape, if you have very specific vision in mind for what you want your wedding to be, we're going to have certain properties that we're going to want to look at based on what that vision is. And I think, when we talk about our consultations and, getting to know our couples, that's one of the first questions that we ask. It's, are you a toes in the sand? Are you a rooftop? Are you a garden terrace? Tell me what your vision is for it, because that is going to shape where we're going to send you and where we want. We can hit a price point in all of
Hmm.
them, right? But we want to make sure that we're setting the expectation properly from the beginning. So we're finding the best venue that's going to fit your wedding vision and your group. Yeah. Ladies, anything else to add about venues? Anything else we want to walk through while we're on?
I want to plan a what's the word? I can't think of it. Beach club.
It's
I want a beach club now.
Just
I want to do a
because.
beach club wedding. Yes.
we're
Yeah.
putting that out into the universe. We're manifesting.
Right.
Anyone listening to this that wants a beach club, contact Prissy. Schedule your
Yes.
consultation today. That's
Yes.
all right, ladies. I want to thank you so much for jumping in and joining us today for the conversation. We had a blast, and we will talk to y'all soon. All right, bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us. Want to learn more or ready to schedule your complimentary consultation? Follow us on Instagram at Destination Weddings Expert or visit our website at destinationweddingsexpert.com.